started here. Does everybody have their appearance slips turned in on any specific agenda item you want to speak of?
Talking about what's on the agenda, what we got to present to the board here.
Are you, are,
Additional use.
is he an app?
Yeah, I think
Okay, yeah, you don't need to, sir. Okay,
you're an applicant.
you're an applicant, so.
Yep.
All right, I call this Sawyer County Zoning Committee meeting to order. Kathy, can we have roll call, please?
Ron Buckholz,
Here.
Stacy Hessel. Here. Tweet Schuman,
Here.
Kay Wilson. Here. Michael Maestri,
Here.
John Righeimer.
Here.
Thank you.
Okay, all right, Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, statement of committee and hearing procedure statements of hearing notice. The full statement of committee and hearing procedure documents, including directions for individuals wishing to speak at a public hearing is to be conducted at this zoning committee meeting, are available in front of this room next to the agenda for today's meeting. The statement of committee hearing procedure documents hereby incorporated into the record for this committee meeting. Any public hearing conducted at today's committee meeting has been published as a Class 2 notice in accordance with Chapter 985 of the Wisconsin statutes and in the Sawyer County Record and the Sawyer County Gazette as posted. Okay. Marie, approval of the April minutes. I need a motion to approve. Okay, we have a motion by Ms. Cecil
I'll second it.
and a second by Mr. Schuman to approve.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
there seems to be an error, the 5-minute break is listed at 1:25 and the meeting called back to order at 1:30. I don't think that's correct.
It felt like it was that long.
Yeah,
So what was it, 10:25?
the times are
Yeah.
Yeah, it must have been time
Okay.
or something there.
maybe 10:45.
We're gonna blame that one on Pat.
Yep.
Okay.
And then, Mr. Chairman, in discussion, when I left the meeting, is that important that the time be there or not really? What do you think, Kathy? Maybe?
Yes, it should have been.
I know I missed the ad hoc committee discussion. I was in favor, but we were in discussion only, but I had to.
Right. So do you,
Do you know about?
What time you
it
left?
was?
I
wasn't
can
at
get
the
that,
meeting.
Jane. Yeah,
At what time?
I'll put back.
Yeah, we have it that Schuman leaves meeting in there, but yeah, I don't have a time identified.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, we can go back to the record, otherwise,
re-listen to the minutes
Okay.
on the web. And then fix those two.
So
Well,
can
it
we-
says that the meeting was adjourned at 10:40, so.
so can we approve the minutes with making changes to timing considerations?
that's probably a question for Rebecca.
You sure can. And I definitely recommend putting the time that Mr. Schuman left. Yeah, and hopefully you can just go back and look at the video of that and verify the times.
Okay, so
Yeah.
we can approve it, Rebecca?
I'm sorry?
We can approve it?
Yep, just with those conditions that
Okay.
the revisions be made.
And you putting them in your conditions, Ms. Hessel?
That is correct. I will make the motion to approve with the times being corrected.
Okay,
And I'll second that.
all right. So we have a motion and a second on the floor to approve the minutes. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, motion carries to approve. Public comment. Please note, comment time is intended for the general public comments, not comments relating to a specific application before this committee. Each agenda item requiring public hearing will have its public hearing conducted just prior to the application considered by this committee. If you wish to speak on a specific agenda item, we encourage you to hold your comments to that time. Okay. Thank you.
For public comments, first I have Linda Zomer.
Linda Zilmer, 902 Holly Hill Lane, Birchwood, Edgewater property owner. My public comment today is using this ordinance amendment as an example of where Sawyer County, the committee here and the department might want to consider ways to make this a better and more efficient process and also reduce legal fees. When this ordinance amendment started several months ago, there was also a change in leadership of this committee, which then changed how these meetings are conducted. But during several past ordinance amendments, when an issue came up, it was brought up under new business. The committee discussed, they allowed some public comment from people in attendance to help maybe identify related issues or offer suggestions, but that was not allowed through this. So month after month, the ordinance amendment changed. The public was not allowed public comment, things were added. And I think it was pretty clear that when this was headed to the towns, it was not going to succeed. So I would like to suggest, and I would also think that the county would want to know how much legal fees were spent just on this and related issues. I know the county's trying to be more efficient, but if you have a process that thwarts working out the issues as you develop something, it's going to be more costly. And so please consider for future efforts, allowing some public comment and under new business, and maybe end up with a better product and saving some money. And related to that is please also look at the staffing and the training availability in the zoning department, because right now for them to try and stay on top of everything, I think the county should get behind more support for that. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda.
Next I have Douglas Kurzweil.
Douglas Kurzweil, 11055W Arrow Road, Hayward, Wisconsin. Good morning.
Morning.
Wisconsin's rural town governance has consistently received high marks for being in touch with their people. Fiscally conservative, efficient, innovative, approachable, accountable, and responsible. The 15 towns encumbered by Sawyer County zoning have expressed their opinion on the ordinance amendment text proposal sent to them 3 weeks ago. Unanimously. I've been told that all of these 15 town board votes were also unanimous. These votes may be a bit of a referendum on zoning's performance. A vote like this in the British Parliament would be considered a vote of no confidence, and any honorable prime minister would resign within 24 hours. I don't demand that, nor do I expect that in this case. I would, however, welcome that as appropriate. Since last June, administration has cost taxpayers thousands of dollars in an attempt to cover up its willful violation of its own ordinance. The attempt to change the ordinance is a tacit, de facto admission of guilt. This has to end now. I've repeatedly advised this committee to refrain from meddling with the ordinance pending the outcome of the conflicted appeal. I was ignored. Since no one seems concerned about a potential ruling, I now ask the committee to direct their subordinate employee to abide by the current ordinance and the court order of last August. Actually do his job and enforce the law immediately. Thank you.
Doug,
Thank you very much.
I'm getting a little carried away with that. If you've got a beef with zoning, get with Jay and get with the county administrator. Don't come in here and start running him down.
I'm not.
Yes, you are.
It's all fact. It's matter of
It
record.
might be fact, but I don't know if this is where you want to be bringing this. It seems like you've got a grudge match here. I know what you're talking about. I understand, but I just don't like the way you presented that. Sorry.
Well, I apologize if I offended anyone. But I mean, my God, it's been 3 years.
I understand. Thank you.
I don't have any additional hearing slips unless you want to call for additional public.
Is there any more public comment out there? Somebody would like to speak, please? Okay, none.
We don't have any rezone applications this month. Moving on to conditional use permits is the public hearing in the town of Winter, conditional use permit number 23-010, owner Richard and Cindy Dishner. Assessor's plat number 1 of lot 5. Parcel number 032-271-000500. It is 4.34 total acres, zoned residential recreational 1. Permit is desired for a 30 by 40 accessory building across Johnson Road, a town road. This is subject to section 4.26 parent 3 of the Sawyer County zoning ordinance, the construction of a single accessory structure divided by a public roadway. As per the staff report, again, subject to 4.26 parent 3 for an accessory structure across the town road from where the primary dwelling is located. This is a contiguous tract of land, yet it is still divided by a public roadway and still requires conditional use permit approval. It is within a platted subdivision, so the applicant is seeking the maximum square footage allowed, which is 1,200 square feet, 40 by 30. The current primary dwelling on the lake side of Johnson Road was recently built, and now the owner is requesting the CUP for a pole shed on that same piece of property, but on the non-lake side portion of the road. The proposed pole shed would not be able to fit on the lakeside portion due to setback requirements. The pole shed would be approximately 350 feet away from the lake and would meet all other setback requirements, including impervious surfaces for the land area, wetland setbacks, and general town road setbacks. As per the other staff report items for potential conditions, that no habitable area be allowed within the structure, no commercial use or operation allowed in the structure, size of proposed accessory structure not to exceed 40 by 30, must follow all other town, state, and federal laws. By motion of the town board was approved. John Sherlisky, chair, Tom Hausler, supervisor, Ronald Fandry, supervisor, all approved. No additional comments. Signed, Lori Van Winkle, town clerk. There were 10 additional comment letters sent out to adjacent property owners. None of those were returned.
I got one question, Jay.
Mhm.
It says here on your staff report, it's a 40 by 30, and then on the agenda, it says 30 by 40. Does that make a difference?
I don't think it does.
All right. I just noticed that. All right, I need a motion to go into public hearing on CUP number 23-010.
Motion, Mr. Chairman.
I'll second that.
We have a motion by Mr. Schuman, second by Ms. Hessel to go into public hearing on CUP number 23-010. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, motion carries. We are now in public hearing. Are the applicants here? Okay, come up, talk. State your name and address, please. Tell the committee what you want.
Richard Dishninger, the address is 3370 N Johnson Road,
Okay.
Winter Township. So as Jay described there, pretty good detail, sums it up. I built a place right on Connors Lake there, lot 5. And of course, it crosses Johnson Road, that goes along Connors Lake to a dead end, turns around there.
Mhm.
So what I'd like to do is this year is, I already got the culvert in there. And kind of put a driveway in, like Jay and Kathy kind of helped me with the requirements, because the neighbors has wetlands. So there's certain requirements you got to stay away from that part, and I was able to plot it with the Kathy and Jay gave me these pictures here. I haven't blown up. I can kind of plot what's that? A little bit. So I think Jay was 63 feet from the road center here, but as you mentioned, you couldn't quite squeeze it with the requirement for the wetlands. So it's going to be back more like 130 feet.
from the
Right,
road
it's because
here,
it's 63 from the closest point, and because of how that road angles, you still have to be 63 feet,
Yeah.
even if it's across your property.
Yeah, and this isn't the scale, but you can kind of see it here. This- The drawing here, and I got my culvert. George let me put my culvert in here a couple of years ago, so I can. That's why I got it over to the northeast here, so that I'd have enough room to get in here, in and out of here without going near these wetlands here. So that's pretty much it for this year. I just wanna clear it out. Gonna need some gravel in there, gravel the driveway. You know, it's pretty, you were out there, Jay, a couple times, pretty lumpy in there. Clear the trees out I need to, and then put the gravel in and driveway this year. And then I propose next year to put in a permit, put the slab down. And get the building up. Was gonna do that this year, but we. I got. Little joke here, I got HGTV that the other place, so. I had a big project on at home, so. I'm gonna just prep it this year and then next year propose to build it. I don't know if you have any other questions for me here.
I do not. I don't know if the committee does.
Can you remind me how long is this, if he's not building this year?
Yeah, so there's two different CUPs that we kind of look at with 4.26. There's the building of an accessory structure across the town road where there already is a primary dwelling. And then we look at building a accessory structure before the primary dwelling is built. That building an accessory structure before the primary dwelling is built has a 3-year time frame. It also has a 1-year time frame in order to take out a permit to build the accessory structure. In the current ordinance, there is no time frame considerations granted for building of an accessory structure across the town road. We have implemented policy that would require within 2 years that a permit be taken out to construct the accessory structure, and then within that 18-month time frame that the permit is valid, that it's constructed.
Okay.
And we are tracking those because, yeah, we wouldn't want an applicant to get approval of a CUP to build an accessory structure across the town road, and then now 10 years have gone by and they never built the thing. Oh, I want to build it today. No, well, it's been 10 years. We're gonna have you come back in. So as a matter of, working policy within the department, 2-year time frame to take out a permit to build for these scenarios.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Schuman,
Yeah, then I guess you want to maintain a 40-foot offset from the west lot. Is
Yes,
that because of the wetland?
at minimum, yes.
Yeah, there's a wetland that does have some setback implications that kind of dip into his lot. So he will have to kind of hug the east property line to just stay away from that wetland setback. But there is some wiggle room in there for kind of different orientations.
One more question.
okay, thanks, sir.
Thank you.
All right, is there anyone out there would like to speak in favor of this CUP? Is there anyone out there that would like to speak in opposition of this CUP? Okay, if none, need a motion to come out of public hearing on CUP number 23-010.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, we have a motion by Miss Wilson. Do I have a second?
Second.
And I have a second by Miss Hessel to come out of public hearing on 23-010. All right, we are now out of public hearing. KJ.
You should call for the vote.
Oh. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Thank you.
Yep, this is the discussion action, the town of Winter conditional use permit number 23-010, owner Richard and Cindy Dishner. Legal description is previously read into record. Permit is requested as section 4.26 parent 3. The Sawyer County zoning ordinance for the construction of a single accessory structure divided by a public roadway. As part of my staff report conditions, no habitable areas allowed within the structure, no commercial use or operation is allowed. Size of proposed accessory structure not to exceed 40 by 30. or 1,200 square feet and must follow all other town, county, state, and federal laws and regulations, including town driveway permit, which it sounds like he's already secured.
Okay. Committee, I'll turn it over to you.
I'll make a motion to approve CUP 23-010.
Okay. We have a second.
Yeah, I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor by Ms. Hessel and a second by Mr. Schuman to approve the CUP number 23-010. Any more discussion?
Findings and facts 1 through 9.
Okay, thank you.
And that motion would include the conditions as laid out in the staff report.
Thank you, yes.
Okay, Kathy, roll call, please.
Ron Buckholz.
Yes.
Stacy Hessel.
Yes.
Kay Wilson.
Yes.
Tweet Schuman.
Yes.
Michael Maestri.
Yes.
Thank you. All in favor.
All right, moving along, this is a public hearing, the town of Round Lake conditional use permit number 23-011. Owner Michelle and Adam Smith, part of the southwest one quarter, the southeast one quarter, lot 2 of CSM number 7964, parcel number 024-741-094305. This 5.04 total acres, zoned residential recreational 1. Permit is desired to operate a general gunsmith service, including disassembly, diagnosing, reassembly, cleaning, repairs, scoping and sight alignment using bore lasers, removal of stuck cartridges or live rounds, restorations, and a federal firearm license transfer on a limited basis. Business hours to be Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. by appointment only. No sales of firearms. This is requested as section 17.2 parent 7. I had also added, so 17.2 parent 7 is for professional offices and studios. I'd also added section 17.2 parent 3, which does allow for sports shops or other recreational services. So you could, commonly, fit that a sports shop would offer sale of firearms or, some type of firearm service. So we kind of have two different portions of our conditional use permit clauses that somewhat meld and fit within this requested use. For the applicant's statements, activity will include, like I had mentioned, disassembly, diagnosing, reassembly, cleaning, repairs, scoping and sight alignments, removal of stuck cartridges or live rounds, restorations. And also that the owner would like to be granted a federal firearms license or an FFL. This is to transfer firearms on a limited basis. There would be no direct sales of firearms for this location. However, the request does include the FFL license, which is handled through the Department of Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, commonly referred to as ATF. The ATF requires that a property have an established business use before authorizing an FFL. The main intent of the applicant to obtain the FFL would be to serve as a distributor for online purchases. When individuals purchase firearms online, they need to be sent to an FFL holder who then releases the firearm after proper authorization is obtained through ATF. This process is strictly regulated by ATF. Business hours, as specified by the applicant, are to be Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. by appointment only. The request is to run the actual business out of the existing house on the property. Future plans may include additional storage buildings if setbacks allowed, but at this time, no additional buildings are proposed. The CUP being requested to operate the professional office and business is also similar to what we would see as in a sports shop, which provides gunsmithing services. As per my staff report, I've laid out potential conditions. Those include that the CUP is limited to the current owner of the property. Any sale of the property and a new owner wanting to still do that same type of use would need to reapply for conditional use permit. The hours of operation to be as the owner specified, 9 a.m. 2 p.m. Monday through Friday. That all signage meets Sawyer County zoning ordinance regulations, that all other town, county, state, and federal laws are followed. By motion of the town board was approved. Ralph Hansen, chair, voted yes. Dan Palmer, supervisor, yes. James Strandland, supervisor, yes. It does look like, Kay Wilson and Don Stover both yes, unanimously approved.
This one for it.
That is what was sent to us by your town. Because I had also thought that it was a 3-2 vote, but
It was.
Maybe Supervisor Wilson can discuss that more when we go into public hearing. But it was approved with conditions. The CUP remain with the current owner, non-transferable, signed Kathy McCoy, town clerk. There were 3 additional comment letters that were sent out to adjacent property owners. We did receive one. Did the committee have a time to review that comment letter that was received?
Yes.
Yes.
Everyone read, had any chance? The committee acknowledges they had a chance to read the additional comment letter that was submitted, therefore incorporated into the record. That is all.
Okay. All right, I need a motion to go into a public hearing on CUP number 23-011.
So moved.
I have a motion by Ms. Hessel. Second by Mr. Schuman to go into a public hearing on CUP number 23-011. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. We are now in public hearing. Jay, do we want maybe Miss Wilson to verify that or?
Sure. It's up to you, Mr. Chairman, because I had also heard that it was a 3-2 vote, so I was a little kind of caught off guard while reading that for the first time, that the letter that we received back from the town clerk did have all yes check marks indicated.
Okay. Mr. Wilson, you want to speak on that?
It was a 3-2 vote. Chairman Hanson and myself voted no. And the other 3 supervisors voted yes.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. All right, is Michelle or Adam Smith here?
Sure.
Step forward, sir, and state your name and address, please.
Adam Smith, 11254 North Lower Twin Lake Road.
Anything you want to tell us?
I'm just here to answer any questions that you may have.
Okay, committee, you got any questions for the applicant?
I guess I have
Go
one
ahead.
question, and we had a conversation in the office. When you're doing repairs on firearms and you're needing to do a test round, what do you have set up for discharging of a test round? Or are you going to be discharging at all?
The way technology has gotten there, there's no reason to discharge live ammunition anymore.
Okay.
That's why I noted in there, like the sighting in of a firearm. I can do that with lasers.
Mhm.
And then if I have to run a test round, I can just do that with an empty cartridge to make sure the firing pin is coming in contact correctly.
Okay. Perfect. All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, is there anyone out there that would like to speak in favor of this CUP? Is there anyone out there that'd like to speak in opposition of this CUP?
I have a hand raised from Martin Hanson.
Okay, go ahead, Mr. Hanson.
Thank you, Martin Hanson, 11078N, Robin Lane. I'm speaking against this in partial disclosure. I'm also a member of the Town of Round Lake Planning Commission. The Planning Commission approved this with the condition that the FFL provision of service be removed. And although I would not say I am, quote, an anti-gun person, I am concerned with the increase of inappropriate use of firearms. And I believe there are 10 other FFL opportunities in Sawyer County right now. So I voted to approve this, excluding that. The applicant at the Planning Commission meeting agreed to that provision. However, the town board approved that provision. So I would be in favor if the FFL provision was removed. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. Is there anyone else out there that wants to speak in opposition of the CUP? Okay, not need a motion to come out of public hearing on CUP number 23-011. I'll make that motion.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Buckles and a second by Mr. Schuman to come out of public hearing on CUP number 23-011. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, motion carries.
This is the discussion action in the town of Round Lake conditional use permit number 23-011, owner Michelle and Adam Smith. Legal description is previously read into record. This request is per section 17.2 parent 7, also 17.2 parent 3 for professional office and studio, and also for a sports shop or other recreational service oriented use. The requested use is for a gunsmithing service, which as of right now includes the ability to obtain an FFL. Also, as per the staff report, that the CUP be limited to the property owner, the hours of operation to be 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. Monday through Friday, as requested by the applicant. All other signage to follow Sawyer County zoning ordinance requirements, and that all other town, county, state, and federal laws are followed.
I have one question for the applicant. It says here your FFL transfers on a limited basis. Explain that, please.
I take that very seriously. I'm not looking to do that as a big portion of my business. If someone I know comes in and is requesting an FFL transfer, or if it's a transfer between, say, family members, I will do it. I'm not looking to take a lot of business from, say, the people, the Ace Hardware that do a lot of FFL transfers. I'm just doing it on a limited basis.
Okay, thank you, sir. All right, committee. Go ahead.
Chair, I make a motion to approve CUP 23-011 based on the staff report, the possible conditions, and findings 1 through 9.
Okay. We have a motion by Ms. Hessel. Do we have a second?
Yeah, I'll
By
second.
Mr. Schuman,
In discussion.
to
I have
approve.
another, yeah,
Go ahead,
I
please.
have another question for you, sir. So it says also internet sales. So if someone were to purchase a firearm over the internet, they could bring it. It could come to you and then they would come in for an FFL to be approved.
That's how it will work. If say someone decides to buy a firearm from an internet vendor.
Yeah.
They will make the appropriate things that they need to do, pay for the firearm will get shipped to me. At that point, I will, when they come to pick it up, I will do the FFL transfer. If everything's like it should be, then I will transfer the firearm to them. If it's not, I retain the firearm and ship it back to the manufacturer.
So do you plan on doing quite a bit of that?
No. Like I said, that's
You said
on.
like you said, a limited basis, right?
Yes.
I'd just like to say the reason I voted against it at the town level is that the business is in the home and there are children in the home.
But that shouldn't have any bearing. I mean, we can't say everybody's irresponsible.
I just wanted to explain that.
Okay, thank you, sir. All right, we have a motion and a second to approve the CUP with the findings.
Rebecca has her hand up.
Rebecca,
You bet. Thank you. I would encourage the committee to clarify whether your motion includes the condition that the town set forth in terms of eliminating the FFL provision.
It does not. It's
Okay,
just the staff report and the conditions that are presented and the findings and facts. I am not including the town provision.
Yeah, and to clarify, the town board made the condition that the CUP remain with the current owner to be non-transferable as the CUP. The town plan commission made a recommendation to remove the FFL, but that was not further carried on by the town board.
oh, okay,
Oh,
go ahead,
so
Mr.
the town
Schuman.
boards didn't put that provision in there. The planning commission there.
Correct.
Oh, okay,
Got it. So the motion could include the town of Hayward's.
Well, it's not the town around Lake, but it's
provision.
right.
she doesn't
Here,
want the
so-
FFL thing removed, right?
I do not want that
Yeah.
removed. I want just what is right here, what I said
Yeah.
originally.
Okay,
Because we're already saying it's based on the town of approval and they approved it, so.
Right.
okay,
And for
So
those
what
that
are
are,
the town around lakes provisions?
so
No.
for those that are unfamiliar with
None.
the process, was the plan commission. Plan commission makes a recommendation to the town board. Town board makes a recommendation to you, the Sawyer County zoning committee. The plan commission made a recommendation to remove the FFL. The town board did not further carry that over. They made the recommendation that the CUP stay with the current owner requesting it. And now it's up to you to either accept the town board's recommendation, accept both the town plan commission and the town board's recommendation, or do entirely your own thing, because you do have that power as the zoning committee.
So, but in your staff report, you also said the CUP is limited to this property owner.
Correct, and I would think that,
Non-transferable.
yeah, and I would think that those are good working purposes
Yeah.
and practices for these types of unique uses. Because the next person that comes in may have no issue or wanting to do gunsmithing at all. Or it might be someone that does want to do it, and now it becomes more of a pass through for FFL transfers, and we don't know that because we're not talking to that potential new current owner. That way, with these types of special conditional uses, I would always put that as a condition that they are limited to the current property owner. That if someone else wants to come in and buy up Adam Smith's property and run a gunsmithing service, he would have to come back in and reapply for a conditional use permit.
Okay, Kathy, would you read that motion back again to us so everybody's clear on? I know what Ms. Hessel was saying, but
Sure. Stacy Hessel made a motion to approve, seconded by Schuman. Schuman had a question of the internet. Roker said, what about town conditions? What the conditions were included were, Hessel said, what's in the staff report, the possible conditions 1 through 4, the findings of fact 1 through 9.
does that sound good, Stacy?
That's-
Okay,
Yeah.
Yep.
all right, we have a
Um,
motion.
Wait, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead.
I just want to clarify for the record too, the applicant has agreed to those conditions, correct?
Yes.
Yes,
Perfect. Last item, I just want to point out that obviously you have a condition regarding federal laws, conditions and so forth. But because this is such a heavily regulated operation, I just want to make the committee aware of, obviously you're subject to preemption. So if there's something in federal law that sets forth a condition that would conflict with anything that the county does, the county determination may be preempted. Now, that being said, there's nothing here, nothing that you're doing that is preempted or not appropriate under federal law. But again, I just wanted to point that out to the committee.
Okay,
That's it.
thank you, Rebecca. Appreciate the info. All right, we have a motion and a second on the floor to approve the CUP number 23-011. Any more discussion? If none, roll call, Kathy.
Stacy Hessel,
Yes.
Kay Wilson,
No.
Tweed Schuman,
Yes.
Ron Buckle.
Yes.
Michael Maestri.
Yes.
Thank you. 4-1.
And Miss Wilson's no vote is logged in. Thank you.
Yes.
Moving along, this is public hearing, the town of Edgewater, conditional use permit number 23-012, owner Scott Carpenter and Clifton Carpenter, part of government lot 1, lot 4, CSM number 1192, parcel number 008-938-345102. It is 0.910 total acres, zoned residential recreational 1. Permit is desired for a 28 by 40 by 18.5 foot high accessory structure across the town road, which is East Shore Drive. This is subject to section 4.26 parent 2, the Sawyer County zoning ordinance, which is for the construction of a single accessory structure divided by a public roadway. Let me go down to my staff report. In conversation with the applicant is requesting to build a 40 by 32 accessory structure on the backside of East Shore Drive from where the primary dwelling is located. The current primary dwelling is on a separate lot immediately adjacent or across from the town road, which is East Shore Drive. The proposed garage would not be able to fit on that lakeside portion due to setback requirements. The proposed pole shed would be located approximately 320 feet from the lake and would meet all other applicable setback requirements. It would also meet the provisions and subsections of 4.26 of the Sawyer County zoning ordinance, and this property is not located within a platted subdivision. As per potential conditions is laid out in my staff report, that no habitable area be allowed in the structure, no commercial use or operation allowed in the structure, size of proposed accessory structure not to exceed 40 by 32 by 18.5 foot high. must follow all other town, county, state, federal laws. There were 10 additional comment letters sent out. One was returned with no objections. Did the committee have a chance to read that comment letter?
Yes.
Ultimately, they do not oppose the carpenter's conditional use, only that they have an appropriate size culvert installed. As by action of the town board, motion was approved. Pete Baraboo, chairman, Scott Space, supervisor, Jamie Scar, supervisor. I do see some inconsistencies here with the size that was published versus what is included as part of my staff report. I believe the applicant has requested for a slightly larger size garage. I have as my staff report, and I guess you could also make this as a condition after you open up the public hearing and per discussion. But the applicant at this point is requesting for a 32 by 40 accessory structure. I believe as the publication is shown, it may be the 28 by 40. So we may want to at least have that as part of a condition of a size not to be exceeded. That is all.
Okay. Thank you, Jay. All right, need a motion to go into public hearing on CUP number 23-012.
So moved.
I'll second that.
We have a motion by Mr. Schuman, second by Ms. Hessel to go into public hearing on CUP number 23-012. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed. Motion carries. We are now in public hearing. Are the carpenters here? Okay, you want to step forward, sir? State your name and address, please.
Scott Carpenter, 1840 Walnut Lane, Eagan, Minnesota.
Okay,
I don't have much to provide other than what you just said.
okay. And nothing else you want to tell us?
One other thing was that the culvert was approved by SCAR, Edgewater, and they're gonna put the appropriate, and then talk to the excavator, went through everything that we needed to know there.
Okay,
And
go ahead, Mr.
What
Schuman.
is the size of the building?
32 by 40.
Okay.
I apologize for that, didn't know what was happening. Been through this the first time and didn't know until we got out there and excavate, or with our excavator and walked through some stuff and the builder.
Okay. Any more questions? All right, thank you, sir. We're still gonna be able to do this. right?
That would be a question for Rebecca, but ultimately it still meets the merit of the conditional use permit request. This is not in a platted subdivision, so it can be greater than 1,200 square feet. It did get published as 28 by 40, and I guess that is a question for Rebecca. If that 28 now can be conditioned to not exceed 32 by 40.
Rebecca, can you give us an answer on that, please?
Give me a couple minutes just to look at the code, if you guys can have other discussion. I just want to make sure. Hold on,
Okay,
if that's okay.
On all the information we have, it says
Yeah.
32 by
32 by
40,
40.
so
As a part of E, it has 28 by 40. As public hearing and then discussion action, it has the 32, also the way it went out to the town, has this at 28 by 40. Yeah, it was per, no, that would be wall dimensions, not including eaves.
Okay, gotcha.
And it really was in conversations with the applicant during the request that they wanted to, in conversations with their builder, it would be almost cheaper to build it a little bit larger, because now you're looking at different dimensional cuts to actually size it down, which is kind of weird to think about, but that's how dimensional lumber comes. So the applicant has requested to add those additional 4 feet.
okay.
I don't think that, unless the committee has objections, I don't think that is a material enough difference between noticed and actual. So you're fine.
Okay. All right,
We're still in public hearing.
we're still in public hearing. Anybody out there now want to speak in favor of this CUP? Linda?
Linda Zilmer, 902 Holly Hill Lane, Birchwood, Edgewater property owner. When these things come to the town, the public is not able to see the application materials because they only posted on the county website the week before. So when this came to the town and it was approved, it really wasn't clear, I don't think, whether it was 28 or 32 foot. And could we please get clarification that I think I just heard Jay say the sidewall size, because I thought a dimension included eaves. The other thing is there's a hand-drawn map that's an odd size lot. At that increased size with eaves, will it meet all the side setbacks? Why, I see a head, but I mean, just please clarify it with the increased size and with eaves if it meets setbacks. Thank you.
Yeah, and we're still in public hearing. When we get into the discussion, I'll.
Okay. All right, anybody out there else want to speak in favor of this CUP? Anybody out there want to speak against this CUP?
I think that was.
Well,
Okay.
when I asked for it, I asked for in favor, but that's all right. So if not, I need a motion to come out of public hearing on CUP number 23-012.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, we have a motion by Miss Wilson. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
And a second by Miss Hessel. to Come out of public hearing on CUP number 23-012. Okay, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, motion carries. We are now out of public hearings.
Yes, this is the discussion action for CUP number 23-012, owner Scott Carpenter and Clifton Carpenter. Legal description is previously read into record. Permit is desired for a 32 by 40 accessory structure across the town road, subject to section 4.26, parent 2 of the Sawyer County zoning ordinance for the construction of a single accessory structure divided by a public roadway. I have listed in my potential conditions for approval that no habitable area be allowed in this structure, no commercial use or operation allowed, that the size of the accessory structure not to exceed 40 feet by 32 feet by 18.5 feet high, must follow all other town, county, state, and federal regulations, including an additional town driveway permit, which it sounds like the applicant has already at least started conversations with the town. Looking at the lot layout, there is quite a bit of buildable area on this lot. A 40 by 32 will easily fit. I think we had stretched it out originally with Mr. Carpenter. There was way more room than even that, and they had even toyed with the idea of building a cabin over there. And once you would have a cabin over there, you could have an extremely large pole shed. After kind of taking a look at finances and stuff, the cabin really wasn't in the cards for that. So they were just requesting this additional pole shed on that size of the road. And again, per the conditions I have laid out, the size not to exceed the 40 by 32.
Okay, thank you.
May I ask a question, please?
Yes.
Does number 4 include the quick claim deed that's necessary for this piece of property?
It would, yep. And I've expressed that with the
need-
applicant.
You don't need to specify that.
That would be part of the other county laws. I should have that in there as an additional condition, but it is part of another county law. As per the requirements of 4.26 parent 2, it does require a deed restriction. These lots are combined and not sold separately
Right.
until whatever restriction is placed on there is removed. Now, ultimately, if they ever wanted to sell this separately, they would basically have to take out a land use permit to build a house. Basically, be ready to start construction on that. And then we could actually release that restriction again, because now someone's building a primary dwelling on that land. But yes, that would be a condition that is already implemented as a request of 4.26 parent 2.
So if we're gonna have any more discussion on this, we need to make a motion to eat it. Ready?
Well, I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
CUB number 23-012. With the 1 through 9 findings of fact for approval. And the staff report and possible conditions stated by Jay. Were there any town provisions they at all?
There was not.
Okay.
Nope.
So I'll make that motion.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Schuman and a second by Ms. Hessel to approve the CUP number 23-012. Any more discussion? Go ahead.
So in that scenario, Dave, the placement of the accessory building, is there room now for a cabin?
It would be still, yeah, I mean, you're looking at 63 feet from the center line of East Shore, 40 feet from what ultimately is going to be the east property line or the furthest south line that you can see while it's on the map because it's not oriented north. And yes, I mean, there's quite a bit of room in there still. Now this area down here does start to drop off pretty good. If there was to be a cabin, it's gonna have to be kind of tucked up in this corner. I don't think that is the applicant's anticipation. I do see them holding on to this property for many generations to come and just needing an additional storage area at this point.
Okay, any more discussion? Okay, not Kathy, can we do a roll call, please?
Tweet Schuman.
Yes.
Stacy Hessel.
Yes.
Ron Buckle.
Yes.
Michael Maestri.
Yes.
Kay Wilson.
Yeah.
All in favor.
Okay. All right, yeah.
Moving on, this is a public hearing in the town of Ojibwa, conditional use permit number 23-013, owner Kevin and Moniz Star, part of government lot 3, lot 114, CSM 6616. Parcel 020-639-135401, tax ID 21204. It is 4.55 total acres, zoned residential recreational 2. Permit is desired for a 36/40 accessory structure, subject to section 4.26 parent 1 of the Sawyer County zoning ordinance. This would be for an accessory structure on vacant land, with having a 3-year time frame to build the primary dwelling. As per the staff report, again, the construction of accessory buildings on vacant land may only be allowed by conditional use and town and zoning committee approval. Granting of the conditional use will require automatic conditions that within 3 years, a principal dwelling land use permit be applied for, and that the principal dwelling is built within that permit time frame on the same parcel. Failure to build the principal dwelling will result in citations in order for removal of accessory structures. Per conversations with the applicant, the CUP is being requested first to build an outdoor building prior to constructing a cabin. Proposed accessory structure to meet all of the county zoning setback requirements. The size of the garage not to exceed the 36/40. As per other conditions, these are semi-automatic ones as per 4.26 parent 1, that the accessory structure, that a land use permit for the accessory structure is applied for within 1 year of the date of the zoning committee decision and built within those permit timeframes, which is 18 months. That a land use permit be required for the principal dwelling within 3 years, and that the principal dwelling is built within those permit timeframes, which is again an additional 18 months. Proposed accessory structure to meet all other Sawyer County zoning conservation requirements and comply with all other state and federal laws, and the size of the proposed structure not to exceed 36/40. As per the town board, motion was approved unanimously. Dan Granica, Robert Granica, Randy Niederkorn. No additional comments. Signed Jill Pettit, town clerk. There were 6 additional comment letters sent out. None of those were returned. That is all.
Okay, thank you. All right, I need a motion to go into public hearing on CUP number 23-013.
I'll make that motion.
Second it.
Okay, we have a motion by Ms. Hessel and a second by Ms. Wilson to go into public hearing on CUP number 23-013. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. We are now in public hearing. Is the applicants here? Okay, sir.
Kevin Starr, 3415 197th Avenue, Anoka. I want to build at 6393 Napa Road North. It's a private road. I have the site pretty well all set. The driveway's in, the site for the pole barn's ready to go. We hope to build a house out there within 2 years. I want to get the pole barn up first. I want to bring a boat over and a trailer over and put in there. So I'm going to keep that all covered. We're actually building on the north lot. We own the second lot down from that also.
Okay, any questions for the applicant?
Will you need a driveway permit off of that road or is it?
I have the driveway basically in.
Oh.
The culvert's out at the end.
Okay.
Been working on it for 2 years now, getting things set up and it's a long process.
Where are you going to build the house?
Just to the straight west of that. It'd be just to the, you'd be straight down from it, what you see there, be straight to the,
Yeah, that is oriented north there.
Oh,
straight east. The river's about 300 feet to the west, yeah. River's 300 feet to the west, we would be just to the east of that.
So you don't have the septic or the well in yet.
Nope, hopefully one of those is gonna happen this year. We did electric last year and one of the next biggies is gonna be one of those. Maybe both.
is your property all, is there any wetlands within that area?
No, sir. No, and the floodplain is, I'm surprised, but the floodplain is barely off of that line there on the waterway. It's pretty rough ground down in there. We're on the high point. Slopes down. Did you get out there, Jay, and look at it at all? Or-
I did not, I don't know if I have the topographic map, but where kind of those pines start is where that topography really snaps off.
Uh-huh.
You know, this area of which I'm assuming is probably either spruce or white pine, you know, that you might get pretty close to where those floodplain elevations may start creeping into, or otherwise designated wetland areas. I mean, you still probably have, you know, well over 100 feet from where the proposed garage is before that topography really snaps off down that hillside. Now, ultimately, per any land use permit issuance, we'll be taking a very close look at any of those requirements. But as of right now, the request for the proposed garage on vacant land would have those automatic conditions of, you know, taking out a permit to build not only the garage within 1 year, but then taking out a separate permit to build the house within 3 years.
Hemlock. It's mostly all hemlock down
Okay.
there. It's very rough. So it's 3 years after the building is up, or once I get the permit for that,
So
then is how it
You have
says.
1 year to take out a permit to build the garage. That garage has to be built, shelled and closed within 18 months. Then 3 years from now, you would have had to or have to take out a permit to build the house. And the house needs to be shelled and closed within 18 months from that. So if you play the timing right, you can stretch this 4.5 years to have the house shelled and enclosed from what may be today's date.
Hopefully 2 years. It'll all be
Right.
done. This is a big year. This is the year, getting that pole barn up is huge. So we're pushed out now. They wanted to do it earlier on, Cleary building, but we just weren't set for this permit situation. So hopefully this late summer will be up.
Okay.
Anything
Any
else?
questions for him? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I do have one additional public
Oh,
comment sheet from David and Patricia Daniels. They do not wish to speak, but are registering unless they want to speak at.
You want anything registered in the record or?
No, just interested because we own the 4 lots down from where they're building.
Oh, okay, thank you. All right,
You're still call for it though. If there's any.
yeah, is there anyone out there that wants to speak in favor of this CUP? Anyone out there want to speak in opposition of the CUP? No hands up or anything?
Nope, not seeing any.
Okay, all right. I need a motion to come out of public hearing on CUP number 23-013.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it. I have a motion and a second, a motion by Ms. Hessel, second by Mr. Buckholz to come out of public hearing on CUP number 23-013. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. We are now out of public hearing.
Discussion action, town of Ojibwa, conditional use permit number 23-013, owner Kevin and Monique Starr, legal description is previously read into record. Permit is requested for section 4.26, parent 1, the Sawyer County zoning ordinance for placement of an accessory structure on vacant land, subject to the 3-year time frame. As part of the automatic conditions that a land use permit be required for the accessory structure within 1 year of the zoning committee's decision and built within those permit timeframes. Land use permit required for the principal structure within 3 years of the zoning committee decision and built within that permit timeframe. that a proposed accessory structure meet all other required setbacks and compliant with other state and federal laws. Size of the proposed structure not to exceed 36 by 40.
Okay,
Mr. Chairman, I like,
You have to wait till discussion.
oh, thank you.
I'll make a motion to approve CUP 23-013.
okay, we have a motion by Ms. Hessel. Do we have a second?
I would second that.
And a second by Mr. Schuman to approve the CUP number 23-013.
Chair, can I include in my motion the conditions and the staff report 1 through 4 and the findings and facts 1 through 9?
Yes. Thank you.
Again, second.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I liked in the previous applications for an accessory building that J had no habitable area and no commercial use, and I was wondering if we might include that in as a condition as well.
Well, ultimately, I mean, the commercial use, that isn't an allowed use per this zone district. I always kind of put that in there because I just want the applicants to be aware that, yeah, you can't run a commercial business out of this. You didn't request that as part of your conditional use permit. That would be another, county zoning ordinance requirement. As far as including of habitable living area, plans do change. They could build this pole shed, this coming year, and then say, hey, why don't we just make this a habitable pole shed? And that meets the habitation requirements as part of the principal structure. So I don't know if I would add that as a condition, because I have seen people wanting to build a garage first. And then within 3 years, add on the house onto the garage. And maybe even add habitable living area above the garage, but it's one combined structure. So they're able to do that. So I wouldn't make that a condition on this case. I still think the applicant is probably going to build a separate, detached principal dwelling. But I wouldn't add those conditions on there because plans do change. And as long as they're still meeting the ordinance requirements of building a principal dwelling within the 3-year time frame, that's really that matters.
Thank you.
All right. Any more discussion?
No, sir.
We have a motion and a second. Let's do a roll call, Kathy.
Michael Maestri,
Yes.
Kay Wilson,
Yes,
Ron Buckhold.
Yes.
Stacy Hessel,
Yes,
Tweet Schuman,
Yes.
all in favor. Thank you.
Okay, motion carries.
Moving on, we are in the public hearing of conditional use permit number 23-014, owner Terry and Sarah Walport, part of the southwest one quarter of the northwest one quarter of section 32, township 41 north, range 9 west, parcel 0109413222401, tax ID 13107 is 39.89 total acres, zoned agricultural 1. Permit is desired for the location and operation of a non-metallic mineral extraction operation, including rock crusher. The actual mine site to be limited to the 20 acres within the northern half of the 39.89 acres. This is subject to section 17.4 parent B, parent 6 of the Sawyer County zoning ordinance. As per the staff report, again, the permit is desired for a new non-metallic mining extraction operation, including rock crusher. Mine site to be limited to the northern 20 acres of that parcel. The surrounding area is an additional gravel pit to the north and an industrial pellet plant to the west. There is mixed residential to the east, and to the south is the state highway. The nearest residence is approximately 675 feet away, with all crushing operations to be a minimum of 1,000 feet away. As per the conditions of an approved reclamation plan, financial assurance would also be required in the amount of $1,500 per acre. The applicant has broken this down into phases of extraction and excavation. So total financial assurance has not been determined yet at this point, but is planned for $6,000 of phase 1. Each additional phase of excavation will require additional financial assurance. The specified hours of operation would be 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Saturday. Crushing operations are to occur during those specified hours of operation, so 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Saturday, and not to exceed 6 weeks per calendar year. Other plans in the operation are included within this packet. As per my staff report, I've listed that they also need to approve or have conditional approval of the reclamation plan, which we'll hear next under a separate public hearing. That the hours of operation be 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Saturday. That crushing hours be 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Saturday, not to exceed 6 weeks per calendar year. That a fire number or site address would be required for the property. They maintain compliance with the DNR Department of Natural Resources Chapter 30 permit. That the existing southern 20 acres of pine plantation is anticipated to remain. But if a timber harvest operation is to occur, that area is to be replanted or allowed to self-regenerate. That was discussed as part of their plan of operation, but I want to make sure that, this committee has that discussion that if they do a, timber harvest on that southern 20 acres, which is basically their natural buffer from the highway, that the applicant either replant vegetation or allow for self-regeneration within that area. The committee may also want to look at a additional buffer on the east property line for those residential zoned lands. We can have that additional consideration. I just put it in there as kind of a talking point, but we really should either implement it or remove it. Don't leave it as just discussion to occur. And that the applicant comply with all their federal, state, local regulations, including the reclamation plan. By action of the town board, motion was approved. Stephanie Loxton, chairman, Andrew Whitworth, supervisor, Gary Enoff, supervisor. It would not, and this is signed by the town clerk, as for reasons for approval, it would not be damaging to the rights or others' property values. It would not be detrimental to ecology, wildlife, wetlands, or shoreline. Signed, Bryn Hand, town clerk. There were 10 additional comment letters sent out to adjacent property owners. None of those were returned with comments. That is all.
Okay, thank you, Jay. All right, need a motion to go into public hearing on CUP number 23-014.
Motion.
Second that.
We have a motion by Mr. Schuman, a second by Ms. Hessel to go into public hearing on CUP number 23-014. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, we are now in public hearing. Is the applicant here? Okay. Morning.
Morning.
Terry Walport, 15828 West Fun Valley Road, Hayward. So I kind of just fielding any questions that people may have at this point. Say that I feel that the property is pretty appropriate for what we're asking with the light industrial that it's at and kind of the combined industrial things all around it. So.
Okay. Any more questions? Go
Yeah,
ahead.
Mr. Walpert, so this property is on 63 north then, correct? And the north side of the highway?
Right across from Roy's or LP,
It's 63
across the
south.
highway.
Oh,
63 south.
South,
Yep,
okay,
right across from next to the
Yeah.
pellet plant,
yep. Okay, thank you.
Across from LP, correct?
across the highway from LP.
So it's all industrial around you.
And Roy's Enterprise is LP on the other side of the road, then the pellet mill, Thompson, Semstone.
Mhm.
It's all wrapped into that same kind of industrial
Right.
area.
So is this proposed mine area, is that all red pine?
The area kind of at the top of that
Uh-huh.
is already cleared. It is red pine towards the highway from it. There is like a 6 acre area that's the trees have been cleared off of. In that back left corner, I guess it would be.
Up here.
Yep. That area is cleared. There, you can kind of tell the difference between like the red pine and that whole strip in the back is field. Right now,
And that's where phase one is to
yes,
occurs
Yep.
first.
that very back corner is where it would start, the left hand corner. Closest to Sunstone and Thompson's gravel pit right now. And we don't even know for sure that there's actually gravel there. There's some sand and some rock, but I haven't been able to do enough exploring, waiting for permitting to see if we've even got a crushable material. There's probably more likely a sand borrow, sand that we can take to projects and stuff. I don't know yet that we can even crush there, but it was recommended that we put in there for a crushing plant.
Go ahead, Steve.
And so for a living, you do excavating, correct?
Correct.
So this is not like a hobby. This is, you
This
know
is
the
my-
product,
this is my
yes.
business,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Go ahead.
Jay, did you mention anything regarding the water table in that area? Does
It
that
is,
come into play at all? or
it
not?
doesn't in this
Okay.
one. That is part of kind of the reclamation plan aspects. But they're looking at, potentially a total depth of 20 to 25, not to exceed 25 feet in any area. And groundwater table is roughly around 30 to 35 feet in this. That's even on the shallower side, which I don't think they're gonna really even get into. Most of their sand's gonna be on those higher elevations.
Jay, on that reclamation plan in phase 4, it says 20 to 255 feet, so it's just a typo that needs to be
That must
corrected.
have been, yeah.
in
Where do you see that on there? Phase 4?
Phase 4.
Yeah, looks like an extra 5 was typed up there.
So that needs to be corrected in a couple of spots.
And we should probably identify that when we get into the reclamation plan. Just to keep the committee on task, we're looking at the use of a non-metallic mineral extraction site. That is important to mention though, and we should make those corrections when we get into that separate hearing for the reclamation.
Thank you.
All right,
Everyone,
go ahead.
If we do approve this, do you agree with the conditions 1 through 8, or do you have a problem with number 7 with the potential 50-foot buffer on the east property line?
No, I don't have any problems with any of it.
None of it.
No.
Okay.
So fine.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, is there anyone out there that would like to speak in favor of this CUP? Mr. Nice.
I'm Phil Neese, and I'm vice chairman of the planning commission for the town of Hayward, and we reviewed this very carefully. And reviewed it with Pat Brown, and then all the 30 years of gravel pits, this is the most ideal place I've ever seen. When it's right in the middle of an industrial zone, and there Thompson's is a dump and a junkyard across the road. So anyway, I hope the committee would do it.
Thank you, Phil. Okay, anyone else want to speak in favor? Anybody want to speak in opposition of the CUP? Okay. All right, need a motion to come out of public hearing on CUP number 23-014.
So moved.
I'll second that.
We have a motion by Miss Wilson, a second by Miss Hessel to come out of public hearing on CUP 23-014. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? We are now out of public hearing.
This is a discussion action, the town of Hayward conditional use permit number 23-014, owner Terry and Sarah Walport. Legal description is previously read into record. Permit is desired for the location operation of a non-metallic mineral extraction operation, including rock crusher. Actual mine site to be is the 20 acres within this, the north half of the 20 acres of this parcel. Subject to 17.4 parent B, parent 6. If this is approved, we will move on to potential approval of the reclamation plan. We did hear from the applicant who was agreeable to all of the conditions as laid out as part of the staff report. Those again contain that we would have approval or conditional approval of the reclamation plan, that the hours of operation be 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Saturday. Crushing hours be the same of 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Saturday, not to exceed 6 weeks per calendar year. That a site address or fire number be required for this property. Maintain compliance with DNR Chapter 30 permits. That the existing southern 20 acres of the pine plantation, that if harvested, be allowed to either self-regenerate or be replanted. That a 50-foot buffer along the east property line of that 20-acre parcel be maintained. So basically no excavation with those, 50 foot of trees that are along just the east property line. And that to comply with all other state federal regulations, including approval of the rec plan. Okay.
All right, committee. Who had their hand up first?
I don't know, you were looking down, so I don't know.
Go ahead.
All right, I make a motion to approve CUP 23-014. based on the conditions of approval from the staff report and findings and facts 1 through 9.
Okay,
I'll second that.
all right, we have a motion by Ms. Hessel and a second by Ms. Wilson to approve CUP number 23-014. Any more discussion? Go
Any
ahead.
discussion? Chairman,
Yes.
Jay, are there any town of Hayward provisions?
No, they just had referenced some findings of facts for their approvals.
NR 135. Did you get that on there?
No,
That falls into place anyway. You know, 135, right?
it does, yeah.
Okay,
Okay, any more discussion?
no, sir.
All right, roll call, Kathy?
Kay Wilson,
Yes.
Ron Buckholz.
Yes.
Tweet Schuman,
Yes.
Stacy Hessel,
Yes,
Michael Maestri.
Yes.
Thank you. All in favor.
We like to move on to the rec plan right away.
Yes.
Okay, this is a public hearing in the town of Hayward for the reclamation plan of conditional use permit number 23-014, owner Terry and Sarah Walport. Legal description is previously read into record for the location and operation. Again, this permit is desired for Sawyer County NR 135 reclamation assurance for the location operation of the non-metallic mining open pit, which is a 20-acre mine site. We just heard approval of the location operation. This is now for the reclamation plan. It is shown for the 20 acres of disturbance for the mine site. If expansion was to occur, a new updated reclamation plan would be required. Per the plan, the pit depth is not to exceed 25 feet and approximately 2,000 to 5,000 cubic yards of material are to be extracted from the site annually. Per the NR 135 requirements, before approval can be granted, for the conditional use, operation processes being the regulatory authority of the county needs to approve the applicant's reclamation plan. The Sawyer County Zoning Department has reviewed the reclamation plan and concludes the plan is consistent with the standards as specified in NR 135. I would make a correction to the reclamation plan that in phase 4, that the depth to be 20 to 25 feet and not the 255 feet. That the Sawyer County Zoning Committee, being the regulatory authority, may now approve, conditionally approve, or deny the reclamation plan. If the regulatory authority approves the reclamation plan, it cannot come with other conditions. The conditions may be added during the public hearing process for the location and operation. One required condition of the approved reclamation plan shall be the obtaining financial assurance. We will work with the applicant to make sure that his phase 1 plan is consistent with what he calls for. If that is the case, financial assurance for the first 4 acres of disturbance would amount in the dollars of 6,000. That can be as a bond, irrevocable letter of credit, cash deposits. There are many ways that you can accomplish financial assurance, but those are just some. That is all.
Okay. All right, need a motion to go into public hearing on reclamation plan CUP number 23-014.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion by Ms. Hessel, a second by Mr. Schuman to go into public hearing on the reclamation plan of CUP number 23-014. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? We are now in public hearing. You got any more you want to talk to us about or no? Okay.
I guess I do. What is your plan for final reclamation? I know you have some of your seeding rates. What is the intended use after mining?
I think it would just be either crop or forestry again.
Okay.
All right, does anyone out there want to speak in for this reclamation plan CUP? Anyone out there want to speak in opposition of the CUP number 23-014, the reclamation? Okay, not need a motion to come out of public hearing on reclamation plan CUP number 23-014. I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Buckholz and second by Mr. Wilson to come out of public hearing on CUP number 23-014, the reclamation plan. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Motion carries. We are now out of public hearing.
Discussion action for conditional use permit number 23-014 for the reclamation plans. Legal descriptions as previously read for record.
Okay, committee. Ms. Hessel.
I'll make a motion to approve CUP 23-014 reclamation plan with the corrections made to phase 4 being 25 instead of 255.
Okay. We have a second?
Yeah, I'll second it, and then discussion.
Okay, we have a second by Mr. Schuman. Go ahead.
Okay. Jay, has Mr. Walport agreed to all your staff report you had here?
He did for the location and operation. Yeah, he just mentioned it while he was up for the public hearing process for the location operation, that he was agreeable to all those conditions.
Okay,
For the reclamation plan, there's really no, conditions. I mean, this is his documentation that he provided for
Okay.
how he's going to reclaim that site.
Okay,
all right, thank you.
any more discussion? Roll call, Kathy?
Ron Buckholz.
Yes.
Stacy Hessel.
Yes.
Kay Wilson.
Yes.
Tweet Schuman.
Yes.
Michael Maestri.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, motion carried.
Chair, can I request a potty break?
Yes,
Okay,
I
thank
take 5. All right, I call this Sawyer County Zoning Committee back to order. Okay, we're on number 5.
Yeah, so number 5, this would be for the proposed public hearing of the ordinance amendments. Now ultimately, we did not receive majority approval back from the towns for the ordinance amendments, so there's really no reason to hold a public hearing because the ordinance amendments cannot move forward at this point. So we can, number 5 of the public hearing is canceled.
Okay,
Jay, did we hear back from the towns? Why?
Yes.
I mean.
Yeah, and
that's-
I'll kind of go through those. I probably would just accept that number 5 is canceled, that we're not holding the public
Yeah.
hearing on this. And then under new business, have
Number-
some discussion as
okay.
far as this, and I can go over the town responses then.
Can we get all those somehow, email to us or text
Sure.
to us or?
Yeah, I'll
Well, a lot
go through
of-
them. There's not a lot of information included with them, which is unfortunate, but we can certainly
Well, I-
email these to you
a
as well.
lot of the towns won't put on their reasons.
But Chairman, it's kind of embarrassing to us. We had all.
Well,
approved it,
yeah, I know, but
Right.
Thought we did a lot of our due diligence, but.
let's get
obviously-
So,
there, Jay.
yeah, so moving on to number 6 under new business for the ordinance amendment. So like I said, all the towns had responded as a denial. I'll just go through the ones that did responses. Town of Bass Lake, they want all definitions must have only one dwelling unit per lot. Other changes within the ordinance using only one dwelling unit per lot needs to be pursued on that basis. The property tax revenue loss, at least in the short term, 5 to 10 years, would be substantial to the town and the county. In the abundance of caution, these proposed changes are denied by the town. Town of Coudray, no additional comments. And in my comment form, specifically asked, please provide additional comments for your decision. Why would you be in favor of this? Why would you be in denial of this? I only got some responses back. Draper, no response. Edgewater, no additional comments, I should say. Town of Hayward, only one dwelling unit per lot. Resort definition should read more than one dwelling, not in compliance with the spirit and intent of the purpose of the comprehensive plan. No additional comments for the town of Hunter. Town of Glenroot. They wanted to have the public hearing held first to allow for more input from parties. So they denied. Nothing from the town of Meteor, nothing from the town of Ojibwa. Radisson, it's really difficult to read because I think they took a picture of it and sent it that way, but a resort is one. A resort should be more than one building. Short-term rentals is a small resort. And then from there, I can't make it out. Something with comprehensive plan. Town of Round Lake adhere to only one dwelling unit per lot. Difficult to comprehend as writing needs more clarity with the use of simple language. Town of Sand Lake, not in the best interest of the town and taxpayers. nothing from the town of Winter. So they were all in denial for the proposed ordinance amendments. I've had some conversations with Rebecca on this, and I did prepare, a small PowerPoint here, which I'd like to share if it comes up.
You didn't get one from Town of Meadowbrook?
No.
Okay.
But we have a lot of different moving scenarios out there, and I just kind of want to bring to the zoning committee, because at this point, I don't know how to effectively administer the current ordinance. I'm at a loss for interpretation of this thing, and it needs changes one way or the other. This one right now this is a property owner that owns hundreds of acres. They recently did a 4-lot CSM to put each separate dwelling unit on its own separate lot. But now they want to add another dwelling unit on this lot. Again, hundreds of acres. This is the Larson family. They own a couple sections of land within this area. Per our certified survey map requirements, they cannot further subdivide this property. I accepted an application for multi-dwelling development because again, they have a very large land area, but we're most likely going to have to refund this because with the inconsistencies within the ordinance, I'm not sure how to process any type of request for multi-dwelling development at this point. This is another scenario that was proposed to me. This property owner wants to make a 4-unit resort. To have these 4 units, potentially share common wells and septics. This is a non-shoreland lot. Oh, you can see that. I can't. Let me get over this. Owner wants to create a 4-unit resort non-shoreland. But with the current ordinance not allowing multiple dwelling units on one lot, and that's multiple of the responses that we got back from the towns, they only want to see 1 dwelling unit on a lot. I don't know how you can make this 4-unit resort. You would have to do a configuration that each separate dwelling is on its own separate parcel or own separate lot. Now dwelling 1 up here is going to be 330 plus feet away from dwelling unit on that far south lot, and you wouldn't be able to share wells and septics across that distance. So what's wrong with the ordinance? The definition of a lot is number 1, that only 1 building or dwelling unit is allowed on a lot. So right then and there, the definition of a lot kicks out multi-dwelling development and kicks out resort from the way I'm interpreting it. Unless legal counsel or corporation counsel tells me differently, that's my interpretation of the ordinance. Multi-dwelling development, we still look at that it's for 3 or more dwelling units. So multi-dwelling development within our conditional use permit clauses allows for this, but you go back to the other definitions of a lot and you're only allowed 1 dwelling unit. So huge inconsistencies there. Then we look at the actual criteria under CUPs for multi-dwelling development, which is for a resort, hotel, motel, or same general character. So there's just some crazy inconsistencies with that. With the current definition of a lot, there is no ability to operate a multi-dwelling development. We have effectively shut off creations of any proposed new resorts, hotels, motels, or condos. Only 1 dwelling unit is allowed per lot. That's a alarming response that we got back from the towns. Really, at this point, I would say that Sawyer County is closed for resorts. That can't operate. You can't come in and request for a new resort, which I think is a huge issue. And probably something that the Sawyer County Record should also probably put out, because if you're looking at one of the largest tourist counties in the area and not allowing someone to create an additional resort, I think has some very big implications. Again, town responses back indicated they only wanted 1 dwelling unit per lot, even though my summary letter, stated the intent of the ordinance change. I have to think that the majority of the towns were poisoned at the well. There were individuals that have steamrolled this process from the very get-go, and that's the main reason, and probably the only reason why this didn't pass. I'm sure the committee is well aware of that factor. I cannot effectively administer the current ordinance. Either corrections need to be made with the definition of lot, or strike all language that clearly reads that Sawyer County is closed for resorts.
Why can't we look at a different option?
Please give me the guidance as to what options those may be. I would love to propose another draft version, another ordinance version. but I need direction and guidance from this committee as to which way to proceed with that. I'm interpreting the ordinances, I'm administering the ordinances, but I don't want to be the change of which way they go. I will help you as elected officials draft whatever version that you want to see, but I don't want to be the creator of those drafts. I mean, I'll do the physical typing of them, but you know, if your position is that, yes, we only want one dwelling unit per lot, then give me that guidance, which effectively shuts off creation of resorts. If you want the change that, you know, with conditional use permit approval and dimensional requirements that each dwelling unit needs to have its own separate 20,000 square feet included within that lot with width and depth requirements, which we did the first time, then give me the direction to go that route and I will create, you know, the draft versions. I mean, we had an individual saying that because this failed unanimously from the towns that I should, as zoning administrator, resign. I think that is absolutely absurd because this is the direction that I had been given from the committee to draft.
Right.
You know, the current ordinance, and let me just get through some of this and we'll go through questions. The current ordinance definition of multi-dwelling development still only allows for 3 or more dwelling units. It does not allow for 2. So if you wanted to create a 2-unit resort or 2-unit condo, there is no way feasible, possible within the current ordinance that is allowed. There's no clear guidance for the dimensional requirements that are needed when forming a multi-dwelling development. That was one of the corrections that I had made within that draft so that there was more concise and clear requirements to how multi-dwelling developments needed to be formed. But that kind of fell, you know, as part of the denial. I think at any rate, we should still have that in there because again, the current ordinance does not have it. With no clear guidance of those dimensional requirements, you know, can lots that already contain existing non-conforming dwellings be converted into resorts? That would be another question that, again, has very limited interpretation. I have 2 dwelling units on this lot. Can I lawfully request that both of these be rented as a short-term rental? And let's call this a resort. Can I request to this committee to operate a resort for 2 existing dwelling units on 1 lot? I don't have my dimensional requirements. I don't have 200 feet of frontage, but I have 2 existing lawfully placed dwelling units. And those are some of the inconsistencies that aren't laid out within the current ordinance version.
For questions?
Yes.
Okay, so what is the Wisconsin Counties Association? Have they taken this up as an action for all counties in Wisconsin?
No.
So are we unique in that? So, because Wisconsin Dells, they have to have some kind of ordinance because they're just as much as the tourist town as we are. So what does their county do? Does anybody give guidance on that?
Yeah, and I can certainly look into how their ordinances are formed. Now, the actual city of Wisconsin Dells obviously is going to be different than county zoning. And I can certainly work on that and pull what other counties have for multi-dwelling development. And bring that back to the committee.
But has that already been done by legal? Rebecca's hands up, so I'm guessing she has already done that.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay,
Rebecca.
yeah. Great question, and I did want to just pipe in here at some point. The WCA is looking at this issue from a more holistic statewide standpoint. We do have litigation that has been commenced in northern Wisconsin with an ordinance that takes issue with short-term rentals and issues that are similar to yours. Sawyer County is unique in that an ordinance change has not gotten any traction when the ordinance change that's being proposed is within the legal limits that is within the county's statutory authority to do. So Sawyer County is unique in that respect, but not unique from a standpoint that these issues are indeed statewide, and WCA is looking at them. In fact, Andy and I have a call this afternoon about this very issue on a statewide basis.
I think it'd be beneficial if we wait until that discussion so that we follow suit with the rest of the state of Wisconsin.
And that's more for a short-term rental provisions though, correct?
Yeah, and I thank you for, that's an important clarification to make. Yes, that is with respect to more focused on short-term rentals. It really has nothing to do, it wouldn't, those ongoing conversations are not going to give us guidance on how to address the current inconsistencies within Sawyer County's ordinance. So I think it's important from, you know, a holistic standpoint that Andy and I are obviously working on both. But there's nothing at this point in time that WCA can do or anything on a statewide basis that can be done to solve these particular ordinance issues.
Mr. Maestri, you got something you want to say?
Yes, I feel obliged to report that I was at the Sand Lake Township meeting when this was declined, and there was no significant discussion. The issue turned entirely on an anxiety that this would be a tax blow to some of the property owners. And with limited understanding of all these things, I'd say the townships need to get a clearer understanding of what they're being asked to do. I think Jay's asking for guidance and they don't seem to be hearing that. They're just reacting. That's really all I see on it.
Chairman, I got a comment.
Go ahead.
Jay, maybe you or some of us should go to these town meetings with the ordinance in hand or our draft and say, we just need input.
Yeah, and
We're not
Rebecca and
trying to
I,
stuff this down your throat. We just want to know how you feel. Do you have any changes here?
yeah.
I mean, how else do we meet with the local people out there?
Right, and Rebecca and I definitely discussed that, and that was something that we were going to, you know, ask this committee as elected officials. You know, whatever version that we get back to as wanting to propose, as be an advocate, you know, for making these changes. Go back to, you know, your districts or your wards as the towns that you represent. Because ultimately, you know, the first time that this tried to go through, like I said, and I'll say it again on record, I don't care. I mean, this was poison from the well source to begin with. There was certain individuals that made contact to every individual town that wanted this denied for certain reasons unique to their own perspectives. So if there's no backing from this committee to go to these respective towns and ask them to make these changes so that there are consistencies across the ordinance, then this will fail again because they've already made up their mind before it was even proposed to them.
Jay, what happens if we let this rest a little bit?
No, it's closed for resorts. The current
Okay,
ordinance,
I mean,
is the way I would see it, is closed for any type of resort.
What I'm looking
Proposals.
at though, and I understand you need guidance on your definitions of what resorts are. We need resorts in Sawyer County. Sawyer County is tourist. But right now, I believe this ordinance is getting confused with short-term rental. How long can we just kind of postpone this one? Or
So the only,
what's your views on
the only
it?
aspects of the current ordinance that I see kind of go hand in hand with the short-term rental aspects is the definition of a resort. And if it's, you know, the issue of that 2 or more dwelling units are constituted of a resort, or if it's rental of more than one is constituted of a resort, I mean, that's the ultimate tie together with short-term rentals, is what is the true definition of a resort. If I wanted to rent, as we have up on the screen, if I want to rent both of these as short-term rentals, does that also constitute it as a quote unquote resort? And I need conditional use permit approval process prior to doing that. That's the only tie together I see with short-term rentals and resorts.
Okay.
You know, we look at other multi-dwelling development and go back to the first one where this individual that owns a large majority of land, this is all for family and extended family. He doesn't charge them to stay there. Mr. Larson has a very large family, several sons and daughters that also have their own families. So this is not as a rental scenario, it's more of a family compound. Yes, there are multiple dwelling units out there, but he's not running it as a resort and taking in financial compensation. He's not renting it as a short-term rental. So those don't have exact correlations and ties with the newly formed ad hoc committee.
Well, I know we've got to go somewhere with this,
Yeah, I mean, it's
It's-
entirely frustrating.
I
to
mean,
me.
it's been going on for 2 years now and I guess,
Well,
go
Chairman,
ahead.
we sent them, what did we send them? Version 3? No, option
Option
3,
three.
version 4.3.
Mhm.
Are there other options we could send them then? I know we had looked at 3 or 4 when we decided on that one.
We did have multiple options. Now ultimately, option one was to keep it status quo as the current, and that again just
That
doesn't work.
Doesn't
It
work.
just doesn't
And
work.
we realize that, so.
Yeah, I mean, there's multiple other options. The large pushback that we have heard, at least from those individuals that are not wanting this to occur, is the definition of resort, that if you're renting more than one dwelling unit, that you're constituted as a resort. So we
Yeah,
go
but
back
how
to
many
that.
towns said that? 1 or 2?
As
Not
the
every
actual
town
resort
said that.
definition, there was only like one that said it as the resort definition, but it was the having of multiple dwelling units on one lot. Well, if I can't have multiple dwelling units on one lot, how can I create a resort that would have multiple dwelling units on that one lot? I've actually asked several individuals that are in the audience as to how they see within the current ordinance that I'm able to operate a resort, and I heard some scoffing back there when I was stating it. I would love to have that discussion with them if this committee is open for comments within new business. I know Rebecca probably doesn't like that because it's not the way that the,
No, I say, you know what, if people have other ideas out there and think that they can do your job better than you can,
Yeah.
Jay, let them bring that forward. Absolutely. No, I think that that is the beauty of part of public comment too, is if people have other ideas, bring them forward. So no, I think obviously when we take this to a committee, if someone has a suggestion on a draft ordinance or, some other sort of draft activity, we can look at it from a legal standpoint. But no, if people have ideas, bring them forward.
So why can't we bring the options back to this committee, take another look at them? Jay, what do you think of that?
it would be as to what options you want to roll with. And personally, I would love to hear from the audience members and how they think that, again, yeah, that they can fix the current ordinance that's out there. I mean, how in today's ordinance can someone request to operate a new resort? I have this scenario up on the board right now. How can I legally request this to be a 4-unit resort on a 5-acre plot of land?
So are you asking them people to come into your office?
I'm asking you to allow them to speak during new business right now.
As long as I stay respectable and not degrading.
Thank you.
That's right. All right, we're gonna allow a little bit here. I know Rebecca doesn't like that and
No, gosh, you guys just think that I like and I don't. No, I say that's fine. You can certainly do that. You can certainly have the public comment. I think it will be very helpful for Jay, doing
right,
his job.
that's kind of what this committee is looking forward to help.
Exactly. And I think that, from the legal operational standpoint, it's really important for the committee to hear those comments, because Jay specifically requested that towns give feedback, because there were other options and he didn't get a whole lot of that. So if the committee can get those comments now, that's fantastic. So again, Chairman, it's within your discretion as to how long you want to let people speak, and but you can certainly do that.
All right, we're gonna let the public speak. You're only gonna
Can
get,
I
go
say
ahead.
something
Sure.
before that?
Yes.
I did go to Lenroot, which is part of my district.
Yeah.
And they did not understand what you sent them at all.
Mhm.
So they just said, this is way too confusing. I don't know what you're talking about. So they denied it because they wanted the public hearing so they could try to figure it out. So that is one statement. Personally, I looked at different counties for the definition of a resort. Bayfield has more than one. Vilas County has more than one. I looked at Washburn, but that's tied in with campgrounds, so you can't figure that out for a resort. And there are a lot of counties that have no definition
Right.
for a resort. So it was very different. I could only find really two where it was more than one for a resort.
Mhm.
So that's what I have.
Okay, all right, we're gonna give the public an option to speak. You're gonna get 3 minutes. And I want you to keep it respectful.
Well, and really, I would even task them further as to how can I, in the current ordinance, operate a resort? Because that's what I'm struggling with.
Right. Okay, Linda, you wanna be first? 3 minutes. Still state your name though.
Linda Zilmer, 902 Holly Hill Lane, Birchwood, Wisconsin, and I want to repeat what I said during opening public comments, that at this stage of the game, it is so far down the road that in 30 minutes, I would not be able to straighten this out. And what's been really inefficient is that by not allowing public comment as different versions were coming forward, Jay must have spent half a week at a time. I don't know how many people call him with all their different ideas, and that's not helpful to him or his department. I think at this point, it's gone far enough that an opportunity for clarification is to have the ad hoc committee, since they're bringing up tourist rooming houses, also deal with the additional transient rentals, which could be one, more than one, or multiple. And then I'll have the ad hoc committee have a maybe start of the meeting or end of the meeting, public comment period, not through the meeting, so that some of these things can be addressed as the ad hoc committee takes up transient rentals, whether it's a tourist rooming house or more than one. Thank you.
Thank you. Doug?
Douglas Kurzweil, 11055W Air Road, Hayward, Wisconsin. How can I run a resort or start a resort in Sawyer County? Rezone RR2 CUP or rezone C1. Simple. We've got to perhaps recognize that there are different uses allowed in different zone districts. And when you start talking about multiple units on one lot, most people are thinking of a 100 by 200 foot lot with water frontage, zone RR1. These neighborhoods are being destroyed by the unregulated short-term rentals. I know two people in the town of Hunter, they come right to mind, who have been very disappointed in the lack of enforcement. One is on a dead-end road. There's a couple of short-term rentals. She's called the police a number of times and gets absolutely no satisfaction. Another lady is on a dead-end road. She's about close to where the town road ends. So it's a private gravel road, and there's 2 or 3 short-term rentals down there, and she is livid. And these are, I say, the largest demographic when it comes to the impacts of short-term rentals. And they are the victims. And there's at least 2, one on each side of each one of these unregulated short-term rentals. So RR1, people are getting aware of that. They're losing their peace and quiet. They're losing what they bought or built to enjoy up here. So you want to run a resort? RR2 in a CUP or C1? Easy. If you're looking for a solution.
Thank you, Doug. Go ahead.
Benjamin Kurzweil, 16040 W West Lane here in Wisconsin. As far as I understand, we already have a definition for a resort, and it's been working. We have resorts in the county, we always have. What's going on here is now we have the short-term rental law that says you can rent out your second home. It doesn't say you can rent out your second home or your third second home. And that's what you got now. We it was before picture with 2 lots or 2 existing structures that want to be both rented out as short-term rentals. I don't see how the state law or the county ordinance allows that. Now, it seemed to me the ordinance was, again, it confused a lot of people because it was a bunch of word salad, which really was the main thing of changing a definition of resort to allow more than two. It's my opinion that the only reason that happened right now is there are properties that are in violation of the current ordinance. And so this ordinance is trying to get changed to get those in compliance. So I think, first of all, while we're all working on this, those properties that are not in compliance at the moment should cease violating the ordinances until we get everything sorted out. I think that's number one. And number two, I know I've heard Mr. Kozlowski say in the past that it's not a resort if it doesn't have amenities. But yet, in the draft of the ordinance, the only change I saw to really a resort was making sure it was not more than one, but more than two, and not requiring a seller's permit or licensing by the Health and Human Services anymore, Health Services by the state of Wisconsin. I'm kind of curious about that. Like why you would strike that from a resort definition. Do you have an answer for that, please?
That actual,
I believe it was struck, but the resort had to be licensed by the state of Wisconsin Health Services. That was struck.
right, the Department of Health and Family Services isn't the right department for that anymore. It would fall as an agent of the state as the Health and Human Service Department from the county.
Okay, because it just seemed like there was less regulation or oversight for the resort than what there was previous. That's what, again, the layman looks at and sees that you don't need a seller's permit, and you don't need to be licensed by the state. It doesn't say you need to be licensed by the county. So it looks like there's less oversight on the resort. And there's no mention of amenities, which is something I've heard you say in public before, that a resort needs to be a resort. So kind of confusing there. It just seemed the only major difference was making sure it was more than two. That was seeming to be the only major point of the ordinance. So again, until everything gets sorted, I think it would behoove all of us to start following our own ordinances that we have written right now. And when we change one or change it, we can go from there. But there are properties, at least one or two, that are in violation of the county ordinance right now. They are renting 2 units on one R1 lot. So I think we need to bring those back in compliance with our law that we have now. Thank you very much.
Yes, state your name and address, please.
Katie Ramos, 15718 West Nelson Lake Road. I was actually one of the, went in to talk to Jay this week, and I was actually the one looking at proposing on our property out on Nelson Lake and Etchison to install 4 additional rental units on our property. Just to get an idea, we have 2 in town. We're locals, we own the property, we live on this property right next door to it. We own the property all the way around it. It's not on Lake Shore. It's not impeding on anybody around us. There's nothing there except open land. When I started reading through, just because I'm learning and educating myself about this, my request is that everything becomes, when you read it, you understand it. There's so much variance between the 2 of them that I think that it just needs to be set, whatever the rules are, set it so that it's clean, it's easy, and businesses can get the right zoning that needs to happen, or do the paperwork and understand really what's going on. Because right now we're stuck. We're completely stuck with being able to move forward with anything we want to do until we understand exactly what's going to be allowed. That's it.
Thank you.
So, I mean, I kind of. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, Phil.
Phil Neese, town of Hayward, anyway, I would suggest that Jay get a few people together as not as an ad hoc committee, but as people that have poisoned the well necessarily, but people he could work with to sit down and come up with a solution. Because anything right now that goes to the town will not, you get another 15-0. If you come back with vision 4-3, because it is spoken and it's set in their minds. And it's a very complicated issue. And part of the problem when you went to the town is whenever you got 2 pages of small print to try to explain to folks, and they're not stupid, but explain to them, they get lost in it. And the easy thing is to say no. Okay, that's the first thing. I think there is some answers to all this in there. But trying to do it today, sitting here and giving you shots out, I think if you had a few working people that Jay feels comfortable with, okay? I think there is some solution in there. So, but anyway, but at this point I wouldn't do anything today. No, that's an idea.
It sounds like you're volunteering is what I hear.
What's that? No, I don't think Jay wants me, but anyway, he's mad at me right now. But anyway.
Well,
He likes the system when it works for him.
Well, we all do.
we all,
Okay. We were talking about respect earlier. You should try that.
Jay, do you mind getting a couple? people?
No, I don't, but ultimately, I mean, what I asked from the audience is how I operate a resort
Yeah,
right now. And I had one individual there said, we'll apply for a CUP and, get it operated as a resort. Well, the definition of a lot still only allows for one dwelling unit on a lot. So right there is a conflict with the ordinance. A lot can only contain one dwelling unit, yet you want to operate a resort. Nah, they conflict with each other. So that is utmost of needing of correction. And yet the looming responses back from the town said no more than one dwelling unit on a lot. I don't know how to make that any more clear to the towns than I just have right now.
But that's not every town.
Right.
So we gotta.
You also heard.
Everyone, but we gotta have the directions, the language that works, Jay.
I mean, exactly. And these are the things that I'm struggling with. I'm just trying to explain to you my
Yeah,
struggles that I'm having.
Yeah,
So,
I understand. Jay. I
and
do.
then we also look at section 17.2, which is for residential recreational 1 zone districts in the current ordinance does allow for multi-dwelling development. This is the current ordinance that's posted online. 17. Let me get through it here. RR2, RR1. So this is under RR1, residential recreational 1, permitted uses authorized by conditional use. Right here, multi-dwelling development, new condominium, hotel, motel, or resort, or other development, which is in the same general scale or character. So right now, the current ordinance allows for the creation of a resort within an RR1 zone district. That is in current ordinance. So am I to go to this individual back up here? Oh, go back to, were you able to see that or no?
No.
No, I wasn't sharing that. I can certainly go back and share. But going to this individual where they have 2 existing dwelling units on 1 lot, can they apply for a conditional use permit to become a resort? Let's say this is RR1. Let's say it's RR2. Let's say it's commercial. It doesn't matter the zone district. If whatever you want to move it to whatever zone districts is fine. How can this individual apply for a resort? You go back to, and I'll share this time. New share. Again, this is the current ordinance. There it is. Here again, we look at multi-dwelling development within the RR1 zone district, allows for the creation of a resort by conditional use permit. There again is the catch-22, because you go back up to the definition of a multi-dwelling development, and multi-dwelling development is limited to 3 or more dwelling units on the same lot. So there are multiple issues across the ordinance that all of a sudden put up a big X for me as the administrator as to how you can regulate that, because apparently I can't request for a 2-unit resort because there might be some tax implications. That was one of the other issues that was brought up by the towns and was basically defeated by our legal counsel. Here again is multi-dwelling development, regardless of the form of ownership, consisting of 3 or more dwelling units. So there again is I run around in circles as to I want to make a 2-unit resort, but under multi-dwelling development, I can't make a 2-unit resort. I have to have 3 or more dwelling units. So just wild inconsistencies out there. What's to say that my plan is to make a 3-unit resort, and then phase 1 I build, yep, cool, rent that out. Phase 2, build the next one, great. Shoot, ran out of money. I'm not gonna be able to build the 3rd one. Am I pulling everything? Nope, get them out of there. You didn't build 3 now. You didn't meet the definition of multi-dwelling development. I thought the option that I had prepared for this committee for the towns corrected that, but now I'm scratching head and back to the drawing board.
Stacy.
So I understand your frustration. Don't take it personally, please. So
It's hard to.
I know, but we're all professional. We got this. So what I'm asking, can we invite, instead of doing an ad hoc committee, where it's just, again, people giving their suggestions, can we invite the town chairs? So I have every town chair that you sent the letter in, and we have a meeting with those town chairs to discuss what exactly they would like to see in their township.
I think that's a great idea.
So instead of paper, like we have, that would be our ad hoc, would be all of the townships. And have that meeting be present so that we can discuss, like, this is what we're talking about. We're walking you through this. that's the only way we're gonna rectify and get the townships to give us their opinions. Everybody be on the same page, because right now it's like 3 people giving us their opinions and we're trying to figure out what's the best for the whole county.
Right.
So I like the idea of having the
Would
town
you
fair.
want that held at a regularly scheduled zoning committee public
No.
hearing process or a separate standalone public meeting? Which is noticed out to the paper, which then we can have a quorum of the zoning committee members present at.
So I like the second option because I think that's disrespectful to the people that are coming for the regular CUPs and rezoning. I think it should be separate because this dialogue gets to be too long if we have it attached to something else.
I agree with you.
Yep, and I think we need to invite not only the chairs, but because the town committees aren't that large, correct?
No.
Is it 2 or 3?
Generally 3,
Generally,
3
to 5.
Whoever they want to bring to town, bring your,
but they must have 1 representative. I think we need to clarify that because if townships just don't show up, then that's not fair to our decision making.
And that might happen.
right,
Not, some chairs won't show up. Go ahead, Phil.
Well,
I've done this for 25 years. Unless you have at least an outline of what you want to present to them, they're gonna be no more confused unless you have some kind of idea of going forward, talking to them and asking them from ideas to work to change it or whatever. It'll be a wasted meeting because they'll be more confused than they were before if they come. But it's just, I think it's a great idea, but I think what you need to do to begin it with is at least have a core of something to present to them rather than. Part of the town's response, frankly, was, well, that's their job, but they're asking us. And they've never asked us to do opinions before. And, and so consequently, when they read through it, they didn't understand it. And the easiest thing to do was say no. And it's very complicated. I mean, it really is. I mean, Jay, I mean, you got 18 places to go within the ordinance to try to straighten it out. But I will make another comment. We cannot zone by the exception. You cannot zone by a guy that's got a big piece of property and he doesn't want to do it this way. He doesn't want to, he could do it and he doesn't want to do it because his family, well, things change over time. He will die. I will die real soon, but he will die and the place will be sold off or whatever will happen to it. Who knows? So my point is, we have to be very careful in pulling out, just because somebody wants to do something, that we need to change the ordinance to accommodate. And maybe it's a good idea, maybe it's not, but I'm not worried about Mr. Larson. Whether he has to divide it and have it in separate parcels, or it's all one piece. That's a one-off. And I don't think we should be messing with one-offs. Anyway,
All right.
thank you.
Rebecca has her number, please.
Rebecca, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to say, I can save my comments till the end if you have a continued discussion, but I just want to make sure I have an opportunity to jump in.
With all due respect, could this be the end? Because we've been talking about it when you've asked.
Right, I just want to say one time, G, if you and Miss Cecil, you think that's gonna work, getting all the town chairs here and in a public here with this committee, which should be involved in it. I mean, I'm okay with that. I think we should do it and get it straightened out so we can move on with it. Jay's put in a lot of time on this and his time is valuable. He's got other things to do.
Right.
And we're taking him away from a lot of stuff. And as far as this committee goes and me chair, you vice chair and this committee, we got to do what we can do to help him out.
And that's why I think if they denied it based on misunderstanding or not understanding it at all, then that's why we should invite them to come in. I think that would be the appropriate next step before we.
what about, sorry, Chairman, what about presenting the town with some core ideas and bringing it to them and then mentioning we would all like to meet on these
Yeah.
core ideas?
And I think I do like them coming here as opposed to you as the committee or myself trying to attend 15 different town board meetings. To get either town supervisors or town chairmans in one room together and kind of go through, there's really kind of 4 talking points. It's the definition of a lot and, really trying to strike out one dwelling unit per lot and add in that unless otherwise authorized by conditional use permit for multi-dwelling development. We need to find a line on what constitutes a resort. Is it more than one? Is it more than two? Is it there amenities with it? We need to decide on whether multi-dwelling development is for 2 or more dwelling units or for 3 or more dwelling units, because again, it looks really odd that you can't potentially have a 2-unit resort. You have to have 3, but then I run into the issues of, okay, how am I enforcing 3 if they only build 2 within the first 2-3 years and then money runs out for the 3rd? How do I retroactively go back and I have to pull their CUP? Okay, I get that. But then I go to the aspects of removal of one of the other dwelling units because you ran out of money to build the 3rd. Now I have to take one of your dwelling units down. That looks a little iffy. And then I really want to hammer on that if you propose for a multi-dwelling development, whatever, how many dwelling units it needs to be, clearly laying out that each separate dwelling unit needs the minimum frontage, depth, and area requirements for that dwelling unit. That is not specifically laid out in ordinance form. And it really should be. And that was, again, that was my version of corrections. And that's where stuff probably went over individuals' heads at the towns, because it does have a lot of, language included in it, but that was the meat of what it was getting at, that each dwelling unit that you're proposing needs the same frontage, width, and depth requirements as any other standard lot would need to have.
Go ahead.
Why do we need to put numbers on resorts, multi-dwelling, multi-family? Why does one have to be 1, 2, or 3? Why can't they all be more than one?
Sure. That would be fine. Okay, great.
There are some options.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm absolutely fine with it.
I'm not gonna take any more questions. We've been on this
Not a
too
question,
long.
this would be one more comment, but that's fine.
No, we're done. We're done. So you're okay, you can get them chairs together.
Yeah, I don't know if I can pull them all together for June, because ultimately it's going to be a separate meeting outside of zoning committee. So I first want to, I guess, talk with this committee as to potential dates and times, whether it's, later in June, mid-July, something like that, that people have time available in their schedules to make a separate public meeting. And then reach out to the towns, their chairs and supervisors, and urge them to please attend, because we want to figure this out.
Would it be to your advantage if we got together as a group to help you with that?
Sure, I mean, because then you can at least, well, if it's at your town board meeting to discuss it, and then bring those ideas back, or at least give guidance to who's going to be your representative at that public meeting that we would propose. I'll leave that up to you as the town, so.
Okay, number B, any other business that may come before this committee?
Chair, Rebecca wanted to make.
Rebecca?
Yeah, very, very briefly. Another point that Jay and I had talked about was whether these issues apply in, outside of the standard zoning code, if they apply in shoreland areas. We had talked about that because you could make a correction to your ordinance as a shoreland fix that would not then require town approval. That was an option that was talked about. In terms of the ad hoc committee, before this issue is rolled into the ad hoc committee, couple points. Number one, we have to look to what the board or what action the board took. And I don't know exactly what the board did last night in terms of the scope of that committee. But the concern is this is a very specific zoning issue. And I've already recommended, as Andy has as well, that the short-term rental and tourist rooming house regulatory process as required by the state and then as implemented by the counties not be a zoning process. So you want to be careful on how you lump all those together. With respect to the towns participating, I just want to give the committee kudos for doing that and taking those steps. But towns can certainly participate as they, as you've been going through this process for quite some time. So I hopefully you'll get some movement. And again, going back to a statewide basis concern. Sure, there's issues in every county that we see every day when there's discussions between towns and counties. And it's unfortunate when it comes to a juggernaut like this. And that is one area that I think Sawyer County is more unique and sees more challenges. That's all I have.
Okay, I just one other quick thing, Jay. I don't know, maybe get this town together. Maybe we can make that option 3 work.
Maybe.
You know,
It's possible.
you know, you can tweak it a little bit for them, make them understand. You know, I feel for you. I know you're busy. And like I say, we're here to help you. So if there's no more questions. Thank you, everybody. We're
I
adjourned.
have one other for.
Oh, okay.
I have one other for new business. It was just, we had heard several months back, there was an individual that was challenging a wetland determination. He had
Yeah.
come to this committee. He'd also come to county board and saying that the fix was in and that I wasn't doing my job. That wetland determination was also further approved by the DNR that it is a non-navigable wetland. It is not adjacent to navigable water. It is a isolated wetland pocket of a 40-foot setback. I'm expecting to see a memo from the DNR concluding that, and I just want to make the committee aware that if that individual contacts you, that it's been proven by 2 separate entities, Sawyer County Zoning and Conservation Department, as well as the Department of Natural Resources. So,
Okay. Can you hang around a little bit?
I can.
Rebecca? Can you hang on a little bit?
Sure.
Okay, we're adjourned. Thank you. There you go.